Hello, this is Warpath 1985 speaking in today's Memorial Day special as we're discussing the G.I. Joe A Real American Hero 1982 Breaker. Now first off, I'll be talking about a small update. Your time code here to get this update. And let's begin. So, small update for this general, not sorry, channel, more it's just me. The reason I've been absent for once again for like a week is mainly just because I recently finished my first semester in college, technically. So although yes, I haven't officially been enrolled in any, I have been still taking first college classes, so I was able to finish my first semester, which is cool. Just need to do 3 more. But due to that, I was pretty much insanely just overwhelmed with all the finals and just work in general. It didn't help out as I had to basically go in and out of the actual courses to make sure that okay, everything is there, everything's available. Sometimes the teachers will say, you know, it misses me that something is missing or something isn't. For that reason, I was just generally just absent. There were other reasons, like that being like a medical emergency involving my general skin conditions, because I do have 2, that being eczema and psoriasis, so those hit me pretty hard, so I was able to pretty much do much. Also, I had to go to like a meeting that was canceled last minute, which sucked because I had to wake up pretty much at very early morning and it was just for nothing. So yeah. The review about the Don Strobel movie coming out sooner this week, potentially either today or tomorrow, I'm not sure at this point, but I am just gonna put out there that it is coming out. I'm not sure when, so yeah, like last time where yes, I was like feeling that okay, it might come out today or tomorrow, but still kind of like unsure about it. I might be incorrect or whatever. But yeah, it's gonna come out soon. I'm not sure when, but yeah, it's gonna come out soon. So, aside from that, to celebrate or commemorate Memorial Day, because you know Memorial Day is pretty much a very important day for most just Americans in general, because although yes, I don't have anybody who has served, Memorial is just generally really important for America, because again, a lot of people have family members who served but didn't come home, or did come home but didn't really make it out, or just had left something behind. It's really depressing and really unfortunate that has happened to many people. And for the reason when we talk about like a character who pretty much will be very, although yes, more to talk about, because again, he did unfortunately die in comic books and did die technically in the cartoon as well, but he is still like good like pick for like this Memorial Day, because well, he's a classic Joe, that being well Breaker. So besides that, Breaker first appeared in both the Marvel comic and also the cartoon, both of them sharing the same name, that being G.I. Joe Real American Hero. And both of them taking place in different universes, but also being connected to Transformers, that being Marvel Transformers or Generation 1 Marvel comic Transformers, or Regeneration 1 or G2. It's confusing which way you technically consider it, but they're both connected, both the original G.I. Joe and that Transformers, which is funny because that series is still going on, but it's kind of so little unconnected from Transformers, even though they still are connected. It's confusing, to be honest. You also have the cartoon universe, which is the G1 cartoon and the American Hero cartoon. Once again, those two are connected because various characters appeared in each show and also in their supplementary media. And also, it's not including like the recent Skybound Energy Universe series, nor the original Prime series or the Reliant cartoon, where yes, G.I. Joe and that were connected, but G.I. Joe didn't get finalized and it was canceled. So several of this, Breaker was very unique as remember to 1985 Transformers, where the artist had to base off an image of him, instead of like the astrophysical like toy model. And for that reason, they kind of based off the image. And if you don't know, this figure, just Breaker, is made of probably the most darkest shade of green of all the Joes. Even like I think it was Stalker, and also Rock and Roll, I think, who had pretty dark shades of like just green all over their body. But Breaker was the darkest overall, and for that reason, in certain photos, I'm doing like certain photos, mind you, 'cause a lot of photos have him like in this weird like shade of gray. It's very, very weird. But yeah, just sometimes he would just appear as just gray instead of just this green. It's very unique. For that reason, he just appeared just as a just normal like design. His backpack, his beard, his like helmet, his pretty much everything, but it's just colored gray. Sorry, just colored gray. It's never like explained as to why. Even like Grunt had that problem, or because his plastic was super dark and it might like appear that way. It's the kind of this weird shade of gray in certain lightings. He was also colored just totally gray. We did get a figure of that Power Breaker, like a totally just gray Breaker. We never got in like either the original line or the modern day like line. However, that's mostly just it for just cartoon. Nothing beyond. Just he had a very different role as like computer specialist, which I'll tend to get to a little bit later. He also shared that role with obviously with Mainframe and Dialtone, but also Sparks, a cartoon original character who either is still alive in the cartoon universe or is retired, or in other universes, because cartoon universe he retired near the end of the series, or is retired similar to Grunt in the Marvel comic. And in the comic books, Sparks in fact dies, if I recall correctly. He like dies in the comic book. I forget by who, but I think it was probably like some sort of Coils cult thing. Once again, I can't quite remember. For the Marvel comic, he was pretty much there for every single issue up until the midpoint of the issue, probably like issue like 50s or whatever. The general midpoint where it started getting to like the 85 cast, where it started getting silent like most other like 82 to 83 Joes, kind of, because some 83 Joes to get some more appearances here and there, like Gung Ho, etc. But overall, he was pretty much just sidelined up until like issue 109, which is pretty infamous as of the issue where we got our first like major G.I. Joe character deaths, because by then most of the character deaths were done by comic book exclusive characters such as General Hawk, not General Hawk, but General Flag, where he was assassinated by Major Blood, and obviously Quinn infamously, where he was shot in the back by Dr. Venom. So yeah, he was unfortunately a part of a small group of Joes who their toys were canceled by that point. And for that reason, since later Hama was kind of like wanted to amp up his story, he had Breaker, Steeler, I think it was Steeler, right? Not Steeler, but it was not Grand Slam. I can't remember what his name is, but yeah, he had Heavy Metal and a couple other Joes. Pretty much stuck in a little ditch, and when they believe that they might really let go, Doc eventually gets gunned down, and everybody else pretty much dies. Very, very violent way, where they're all gunned down by the infamous Saw Viper known as Overkill, who, yes, would eventually become Overkill, the cyborg / robot. It's confusing, but he will become that particular Overkill, just robot character from like the 90s. We're talking the late 80s, early 90s, like G.I. Joe. And yeah, that was it for Breaker. He would die. They were very blatant with it. He dies in that issue, and he's never seen ever again. The only times we ever get to see him ever again, the Marvel Comics and or television series from IDW, was through flashbacks and origin stories. That mainly about just either those characters themselves or the lead formation of the team we see in like issue 1, or finally with the character establishing the origin of Snake Eyes. But other than that, yeah, Breaker just dies in the comic. Though we will get more figures of Breaker later on, like they released like just standard uniform Breaker, I think it was called, like came like a comic free pack. We also get like 2 20th anniversary versions with more based off his hard art comic book, and also 2 newly released cosplay figures. One a couple years ago, but one that was released pretty much this year. Which one of them was more based off of his toy, technically, that was more modernized. technically it's more based off the ASW version, but still like based off the toy. And also one that's based off the cartoon, but still based on the original toy, because the cartoon was itself based off the original toy. So yeah, even though yes, was more or less based off the cartoon, because he has that gray uniform, which is the first breaker forever, mind you, like ever and ever, that had that gray uniform, which is super cool. But a shame that wasn't in like 1/18th scale. Besides that general history section, the figure of like just Breaker in general is very, very simple. For that reason, there's not really much here to talk about other than just his very limited articulation, because this is a original 1982 Breaker, not the 1983 version, which is slightly harder to find due to pretty much it's a very, very simple answer. Parents do not want to buy the same exact figure. The only other way for that kid to actually get a 1983 figure was either to buy it with their own money or actually rely on the grandparents who didn't know better. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We know why this 1983 stuff is like weirdly just rare, other than just the Cobra Troopers, who are much easier to find than the 82 version because of reasons, I guess. But yes, most 1982 83 swivel arm battlecraft characters and figures were much harder to find than the original versions. Unfortunately, yes, well, other than beyond that, just it's nothing I can redo. But yes, I have a version 1982 Breaker nevertheless. So for accessories, the figure is very, very limited. It comes to that department where it comes with just very little, to be honest. It just comes with these 3 accessories. That being, if you can focus, his backpack, which has been redesigned and changed a lot in various updates of this general character. Either it's just a straight up reuse of Flash's backpack or his battery backpack for his laser rifle, or is based off of the card art or the toy version, because the card art version has it like this, just upside down, or how the toy has it like this. It's confusing, to be honest, but it's okay. I believe that's the correct way, I can't remember, from the general angle, or generally just tell from this angle, because the microphone's like blocking my eyesight. We also have the helmet, which is your standard G.I. Joe helmet, and also the microphone and the wire piece, which are both connected and are clipped onto these little ports on the side of the helmet, and are just pretty much just there. This is technically a 83 wire microphone from the Battle Pack or Battle Gear set, because the one that came with this one, the original microphone, was unfortunately broken. Set that figure aside. And for technically the final accessory, which is pretty cool, we have his file card, which is awesome that I have a 82 file card. I do have an 83 file card with the his driver, but this is pretty cool. I have an actual 82 file card, which you can tell because it does have that little swivel arm battle grip sticker there on the corner. But yeah, there's his file card. It's neat. So for the figure's articulation, it is very simple since it is a 1982 G.I. Joe figure. And for that reason, it only has hinges for the shoulders and elbows and nothing else. A swivel at the head, ball jointed thighs, bend at the knee, and that's it. So yeah, it's very simple. As you can see, the original owner did trapeze this belt for some reason. Not sure why, but it's something. Other than that, that's pretty much it for Breaker. There's nothing particularly else I can say about Breaker other than just Breaker's one of those figures that is popular for the weirdest reasons, mainly just because Breaker was the original Joe for many people. I'm talking about many people, because he was the least technically harmful looking, because he didn't have any weapons, and for that reason a lot of people theorize that their parents just got him because of that. Or people also just got him because he looked the most interesting because he had a beard. Which was very unique because most military figures at the time, or characters, did not have beards. Which is accurate to actual real world military etiquette, technically. Or just officer etiquette, whatever. I can't remember what's that particularly called, but just general uniform etiquette. So for other characters who were unfortunately part of the massacre that Overkill caused, technically, or more technically, he was just the one who gunned them all down. We have Heavy Metal, Doc, and also Crankcase, who, including Breaker, did unfortunately die in the issue 109 comic book, and also Duke, who was one of the Joes who Heavy Metal and I believe Crankcase was able to cover before eventually they died. So yeah, very, very unfortunate. Something I'd like to mention before I move on to more comparisons would be that the figure is compatible with various other accessories, that being the base plate, the universal G.I. Joe base plate that's used for pretty much every single Joe. Of course, his hands are compatible with any other accessory, like this Grunt M16, because there is the leather neck one with the grenade launcher. Of course, this M16 is slightly modified so that it won't snap off the figure's thumbs. Of course, if you are curious and want to modify those weapons, the other hand is a lot easier since it has a much more wider grip. And also, this is the thick hand variant, I believe, or thin hand. I can't remember because there were certain 82 figures with like thin and thick thumbs. And just fix that little backpack there and put him on the base plate because he, for some reason, does not want to stand. So for more comparisons for figures that did technically replace Breaker both in the show and comic book, that being Dialtone. Dialtone is also another communications specialist. The major difference between both of them is that Dialtone has a much larger backpack and also has a movable microphone. Thing move up and down, which is pretty cool. The one problem with him is that, unlike Breaker, he's just really top heavy. Same applies for characters who do have like backpacks with radio antennas, like Lifeline. But that's mainly just because it's massive rescue case or first aid briefcase. Also have another character who did technically replace him in the comic book, not comic book, but the cartoon, which was Mainframe. Because once again, in the cartoon, he's more or less relegated to a computer specialist rather than a communications specialist. And for troopers who were involved in the general massacre, technically, or execution, that weren't technically named or were named characters, but just standard Cobra troops. That being, if I can get them onto frame, because there were a lot, to be honest. It looks like Worm's like his antenna fell off again, which is okay. But yes, we have Worms and the various Vipers, and Televiper and the Track Viper. So yeah, that's a lot of culprits. And finally, for characters, even though one of them isn't technically a character, but was a character when he was introduced in the comic book. First off would be Corps Commander, the one who inadvertently ordered the execution. Tomax and Zaymont, who were the ones who executed it, technically. And finally, the Saw Viper, also known as Overkill in the comic book, who, similarly to Dialtone, is very top heavy. But yeah. So, aside from all of that, comparisons, history, etc., for recommendations and in general knowledge of, okay, how can I get this figure? So, since he is a vintage figure, and this being a 1982 figure, he's much harder to find than your average G.I. Joe figure, since, well, he's the original 1982 breaker. So, for recommendations, I highly recommend just buying it on just at conventions, because conventions you pretty much have a much easier time of either getting deals, bundling figures, etc. Just having a better time buying just G.I. Joe figures there. But for online, you had to be super lucky. I was pretty much lucky enough to have a nice offer for this guy for like $20, I think, which is a steal, because again, it comes to file card and most accessories, and the figure in general is just in really, really good condition. Besides one flaw, which is the very loose buttons at the leg and the weird stripped screw, which causes the torso to split. But other than that, it's really good condition. But aside from that, that's generally how you're gonna get this figure. There's no real other way other than just paying the full price of $30 to $50. Especially for the 83 figure, which is much harder to find because less kids said they got him back in the 80s, so there wasn't really that much that actually survived even after play. Not to mention kids who were able to get that version of the figure either apparently traded it, lost them, destroyed them, sold them off, gave them away, or something else. So yeah, those 1983 figures are much harder to find in Treasure Shelter 1982 versions, except for A.W, which is universally just impossible to find in just one piece. So, aside from this, nothing else particular to say in this video, and just, I guess, happy Memorial Day. Nothing else particular to say other than just for those who unfortunately did lose, their family members who did serve in the military, or those who were part of the military but came back home a little bit, best to describe it, lost. That's the one way to describe, like, most people with PTSD, because I do suffer from PTSD and it fucking sucks, to be honest. But generally, you just feel lost. You don't know what to do. You feel stressed out all the time. Things that trigger you and can't explain it. And I do feel for you, even though there's like a very big difference. For those who do have suffering PTSD, it sucks. You can get through it, but generally it just sucks. But yeah, that's all to say for this review. Hope you're doing well. If you do had like something with a family member or didn't think for that well, or whatever, coming back home, and those who unfortunately did lost their lives in like various conflicts, etc. I hope your family is doing well. I hope you who doesn't like had a family member who did like just didn't come back home. Hope you're doing well. And yeah, it's a very somber video. It's a very morbid video technically, because it's talking about a character who did unfortunately die in the comic book, and also the cartoon technically. And we just like to say technically because that was the alternate universe version of Breaker, not the actual Breaker. Confusing, I know, but yeah, it's unfortunate, but I guess that's life. But yeah, that's all for this review. Like, comment, subscribe, and hopefully I shall see you next time.